Recording already. Sorry about that. Good evening, my fellow KIOWA Indian Council members. Steve Geronimo Hopkins here. I am a candidate for your new KIOWA Indian Council coordinator. And I just wanted to touch base real quick on something that, there's some issues that need to be taken care of, some actions that need to be taken pretty quick, some immediate actions that need to be taken so the tribe can move forward and in a honest manner. One thing I want to talk about real fast here is the blood quantum. You know, we've talked about this blood quantum for a long time. I know I've been talking about it for years, you know. Want to tell you again, you know, like I've told everybody before, the blood quantum is nothing but a killer to our people. And all it does, it's like a slow euthanization that they have for dogs. It's just a slow process, a slower process, you know. It just kills us off. And what we need to do is look at this blood quantum as an inheritance and not the quantity of your blood. Because when we have KIOWAs that can't meet this blood quantum restriction, that means they cannot claim to be KIOWA. And if they can't claim to be KIOWA, then on paper, you know, we have nobody there that's left as KIOWA. So with what we own, what rightfully belongs to the KIOWA people, our land, our water, you know, our mineral rights, all that good stuff, we don't have anybody left to inherit it because none of our KIOWA people are allowed to claim that they're KIOWA. Even though they're an offspring from a KIOWA, they can't claim to be KIOWA because of the blood quantum restriction, see? So it actually kills our people off and stops us in our tracks right there. So we need to look at that as an inheritance and not the quantity of the blood. But you know what? Those discussions, to be honest with you, are done and over. They've been discussed for a long time now. And we've actually voted on this issue several times. It just seems like, you know, elected officials at the time couldn't ever get their act together. But let me tell you a little something about what's going on right now with that. See, it's been some big discussion lately, the blood quantum, and for some reason, it's like we're, you know, as the KIC, we're having to jump through hoops to get something that we've already spoke on completed and implemented into law. It's actually already law. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you all right now, all of you KIOWAs that can meet a 1/8 blood quantum, get your application, start getting it filled out. And if I was you, I'd get it sent in. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm elected as your KIOWA Indian Council coordinator, that's one of the first things, that's one of the issues that's going to be, I will call for a special meeting of the KIC to take care of a few issues that need to be taken care of immediately. And these issues will be discussed with you beforehand. There's not going to be any money wasted on something that, you know, is just a bunch of crud. So they will be issues that will be presented to you. You will be made fully aware of these issues, and you will have a chance to have your input because it's you, the KIC, that's going to decide these issues. But they're very important issues and some actions that need to be taken right now so we can get the proper accountability that we've been told we were going to get for 40 plus years now, and that's just been nothing but a broken promise. Well, now it's time. Elect me as your KIOWA Indian Council coordinator, and I will fulfill that promise. I promise you I will fulfill that promise. So one thing is this blood quantum. I mean, you know, we've talked about it, we talked about it, we voted on it, we voted on it, we voted on it. Well, guess what? This last time we voted on it and it passed and had enough votes to pass. But, you know, there's people in there that really don't want that to be done. And that's why it never was, you know, the Constitution wasn't, they didn't follow through and they didn't ratify the Constitution. That doesn't really mean that you forget the people's voice and what they said, though. So that's a big important deal right there too. And people think that, you know, we vote on these things and, oh, well, we'll vote on it, we won't mess with it, we'll let it sit there for a long time and it's just going to disappear. That's not how it works. The people spoke. So on the blood quantum, the people darn sure spoke, and it passed. And it, you know, I don't know how the question got broken to 2 questions on the ballot, but it did. But both questions passed. They had enough votes, and they passed. Now here's the deal. The BIA stepped in, and they told the legislative body, the elected officials at the time, well, I can't say legislative body, it was the KIOWA Business Committee at the time, because we were actually in the process of voting for the new Constitution, which was the new structure, and then that's when the legislative body came into play. Because until we got that new Constitution, we didn't have a legislative body like this. So what happened was, while we were in the middle of voting for this new Constitution, the question was brought up about this blood quantum, you know. Okay, well, it passed. We voted and it passed. Well, the BIA steps in and says, well, wait a minute. There's no sense to ratify the Constitution right now because you're in the process of voting for a new Constitution. Well, that's where the process goes off track. Because we're in the process of voting for a new Constitution. We've already had this in our mind. One Constitution or the other, it doesn't matter which Constitution we have, but we voted to have that blood quantum changed and lowered to the 1/8 degree. And that's what the people said they wanted. And it didn't matter to them what Constitution that we had. See? So the question was already voted on, and it was actually voted on while we were trying to do this new Constitution. So the process was already there, and we were already under the impression that we might have a new Constitution when we voted on this question here. So we voted on it, we passed it. It didn't matter to us what Constitution that we had, but the people spoke, and now that is law. It was passed, and it's law. Doesn't matter what Constitution we were under at the time that it passed. The people spoke, and just because we changed the Constitution doesn't take their voice and throw it in the trash, you know. That still is in play, and that is law, and we voted, and so it is law. It is legal now, and so that's what our blood quantum actually is. It's 1/8 now. It's not 1/4. So my advice would be, all of you KIOWA people that couldn't meet the 1/4 blood quantum requirement, and now you can because it's lowered to a 1/8. Go get your applications filled out. Get them filled out completely. Get them submitted in there to enrollment and let them go to work. You know, let's get these KIOWAs enrolled. Let's get them their cards and let them be able to sit there and say that they are proud to be KIOWA. And so I promise you, if I am elected into this new position to be our new KIOWA Indian Council coordinator, that is going to be one of the first things that we will take care of, and it will be on the agenda of the special meeting that the legislative body is directed to go ahead and get that on implemented, because the people spoke and that's what they said they wanted. So I wanted to touch base a little bit on that and just let you know that there's a few things that I'll be making a few videos here and again. Of course, you know, it's campaign time. I don't really want to be seen like I'm doing a dirty campaign, but you know, some of the videos that I'm posting out there, all I'm doing is telling you the truth and reminding you of the past, because the past is very important. We have to bring it with us. You know, we have to bring the past with us. We can't just forget about the past, because that's our knowledge. And when we lose our knowledge, then we lose everything. So we have learned from the past, and we got to carry it with us so we don't forget. You know, touching on the other two candidates. I want to remind everybody that I am the only candidate out of all three candidates that has followed the proper process and procedures as far as submitting my entry into this election, and as far as entering my bio and my information that I wanted published. It was all submitted proper and according to the proper process that was mandated by the Constitution. The other two candidates apparently didn't do that. They are the only two that got their bio and information printed in the paper. Mine got left out on purpose, as we all know, and we all know why. But mine was the only one, that was properly submitted and submitted on time. We have a deadline for that information to be submitted, and if it's not submitted, then it can't be used. And theirs was not submitted, and I have proof of that from the conversations by text that I've had with the Election Commission Chairman, Burnett Kunofkit, which is, the reason why this is happening like this, because he is not following any procedures. He's not following the Constitution, and he has clearly shown biased and prejudiced actions towards me by going out of his way and far beyond the scope of his authority, because he does not want me to win this election. He does not agree with me or my status, and so he's out to sabotage my campaign for this position the best that he possibly can. And he got off to a good start by already not following the process mandated by the Constitution, jumping up there, taking control of this election, and then wanting to do it the way that he wanted to do it, and he didn't want to follow the proper process and procedures. But he told the other two candidates to submit their bio and information that they wanted printed in the paper to the newspaper. Well, the process says it goes to the chairman. The chairman is the ultimate responsible party. The chairman of our executive branch, Mr. Matthew Kamalti, is the ultimate responsible party for receiving those entry forms and the information, your bio and information that you want the KIC to consider, the information that he's mandated under the Constitution to make sure that it gets published 30 days before the election. So it's actually his responsibility, and he apparently did not take part in any of this. So, he's also violated the Constitution, violated the KIC for ignoring his responsibilities to the KIOWA Nation that's mandated underneath the Constitution. And so then, they want to pass the buck, and Burnett Kunofkit, he passed the buck, blames it off on the newspaper guy, like the newspaper guy is supposed to know, and that's not how that works. Anyway, nobody followed the process. That's the bottom line. I'm the only one involved in this election, other than the voting members, but I am the only one that's involved on the other side of this election, on the official side of the election, that has followed the proper process and procedures. And that's just, to me, it's just unbelievable. So anyway, we have two other candidates besides myself. Steve Pink Bunny Smith. I call him Pink Bunny Smith because that's his nickname. I'm not making fun of him, that's his nickname. And everybody made it known out there. And I've been calling him that from day one since Jane 2009. For damn 10 years now. So that's just his name. And so I call him that because it clicks in everybody's mind. They know exactly who I'm talking about, when I do that. So Steve Pink Bunny Smith, he was in there. He was elected KIOWA Business Committee member. And remember, Dawes Two Hatchet was chairman at the time. And Bobby damned if old Amber Topaw Charlotte Boynton and Steve Smith, a couple other ones were just kind of riding their coattails, but those three were the main three. Boy, they got in there and they caused Dawes to resign, and Walter Alhady cut out. They threw him under the bus. They shut our government completely down. They shut it down for more than 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They shut our government completely down. We lost our federal funding. We lost all of our 638 programs. They all got taken away from us. And I mean, we completely got shut down and everything got taken away. But you know what they did? You know what Steve Pink Bunny Smith did? He sat in there all those years and he didn't raise one finger to stop what was happening. He didn't raise one finger to make any corrections. He didn't raise one finger to try to get the government up and going again. But what he did do was he raised both hands and grabbed all that money. And he just collected a paycheck like he was doing a job. And he ignored the people and ignored them. They asked him, they demanded him to step down, and he just wouldn't do it. And he collected the money for years and years. And it wasn't just the pay money, but he collected casino monies as well and took a lot of trips. He bought camping trailers, the fifth wheel trailers that you pull behind a truck and stuff. He spent a lot of gaming money that the federal government didn't have control of and couldn't take away and couldn't shut them off. So then when they finally got forced out of there, after what, 6, 7 years, he sat there and conned everybody and got elected into that position, and then took that money like that by sitting there and ignoring everybody, shutting our government down, putting our whole nation in danger like that. All of our funding got taken away from us, and they were sitting there operating only off of the gaming. So do you really want to give him another opportunity? He says he wants to make things up to the tribe, but he's not once today, not yet has he apologized to the people. Not once has he tried to justify, to explain to the people what exactly it was that he was doing in there and why he was collecting that money the way he was, and why wasn't he doing anything to get our government going again. All he wanted to do was argue with us. So, hell, we only got to talk to him twice a year, according to the Constitution, and then they sit there and you've seen how they did the meetings, Hell, I almost had to knock out their damn security, non-KIOWA up there trying to take my voice away from me, for them, for those crooks that were sitting in there, and this crook that's trying to run as a candidate in this election to be in one of the most powerful positions of our nation. Now, I don't know, but we've lost tens upon tens of millions and millions of dollars, because of this guy. And not only that, but remember the big contract, the $30 million casino that was supposed to be, no more than $35 million at the most, up and running in business, operating. But we ended up paying over $87 million for that casino. And Steve Smith, money was disappearing. Loans were being gotten, and the KIC was sitting there having to still struggle to pay that back and suffer by getting nothing. People needing medicine, wheelchairs, people needing home repairs, people needing food, clothes, school supplies. Couldn't get anything because good old Steve Pink Bunny Smith right there, he wanted to sit there and take that money for himself. And boy, he took it all right. But we got it. We took it up the rear, from that guy. So he wants us to give him an opportunity to give back, and that means he wants us to put him in a more powerful position than what he was in before. What? So he can just do it all over again? Shut the whole tribe down? Collect money for nothing? I don't think so. I don't think that you guys are, that stupid, but he's sitting there calling every one of us stupid just by putting his name in to be a candidate for this position, and he's doing it just because he can. He's got no interest in listening to the people of the tribe. He's got no interest in hearing your voice. He doesn't have any interest in giving you real accountability. He has no interest in even giving you answers when you ask questions, because he never gave them before. All those years he sat in there and got all that money and couldn't give not one answer to anybody, not one. Okay, so I think I've said enough about him. Now, Debbie Wilson. She was vice chair and signed deals for the housing, and she cost the tribe $24 million. She took part in costing the tribe a loss of $24 million that just disappeared. People struggled and had to pay that back too. Hey, she did apologize. She's apologizing now. She apologizes almost every time she gets out there in front of people now. Now that she wants to be elected in this position again, one of the most powerful positions of the Kiowa tribe. Here we are, somebody that has just sat there and went along with the flow and let somebody a little more powerful than them, they felt, tell them what to do and how to do their job. So they just said, oh, okay, and signed paper and didn't care, what kind of danger they stuck the people in or what they cost the people, just didn't care. Excuse me. So when people are too weak to stand up to people that they feel are in a little higher position, maybe, I don't know why they would feel that, but afraid to stand up to somebody, then that tells me that we don't need them in a position that's this powerful in our tribe. She might be, she's pretty knowledgeable with Robert's Rules of Order, so she might be better off just offering her experience with that during our KIC meetings. And maybe she should be try to be appointed chair of the KIC meeting so she can keep the order for our meetings, and she knows Robert's Rules of Order really well. We just can't let somebody like that think that Robert's Rules of Order governs the tribe, because it doesn't. It just keeps the conduct of our meeting in order, our yearly annual meeting or special meetings that are called. That's all. That's the only time that Robert's Rules of Order comes into play. But so yeah, she's cost the tribal people a lot of money, a lot of pain. Put them in the face of danger. People that needed to go through that housing program, people that needed housing couldn't get it. People that needed repairs couldn't get proper repairs. We have elders that need air conditioning units that go out in the summertime. These things aren't used through the wintertime. They go out when they start to be used again, especially if they're a few years old, But they need these things. They need hot water heaters and propane and stuff like that, but they can't get it because the money disappears. One of the other issues too, I don't know if you want to vote for her or not, that's up to you, but both of those two have held official positions within the Kiowa tribal government, and both of them has cost the tribe tens upon tens of millions of dollars. Myself, I have not held any official position with the Kiowa tribe, except for the fact that I am a Kiowa Indian Council member, so that's about the only official position I have within the tribal government. Just one member, Indian Council member. And I've never caused the Kiowa people any harm. I've only exposed the truth. I've exposed some corruption, and I've always had proof and documentation on everything that I've put out there. And if I didn't have it on paper, black and white paper, I had it in person. I had somebody that was in there that, would sit there and show that they gave me that information. So it's not like I just go out there and, pull something out of thin air put it out there to you people. No. So I'm a stickler for following the process, the proper process and procedures, the rules, you know. That's the main reason why I'm running for this position, is because that's one of the things that needs to stop right now, immediately. It's going to be an issue or two in this meeting, if I'm elected, that I will call immediately. But we are going to have to stake out those boundaries of the powers to be, and we're going to have to make sure that each branch of the Kiowa governmental system stays within their powers of authority. And the only way we're going to do that is to make a couple changes, and they need to be made immediately, because that's what's putting us in the bind that we're in right now. And another thing, one thing that will be an issue that I can tell you, if I'm elected as your new Kiowa Indian Council coordinator, one issue that will be on that agenda will be the fact that, excuse me, there's somebody in my yard back here. Just a minute. Okay, I apologize for that. So as I was saying, one of the first things that I will do, one of the issues that will be on that agenda will be, you know, our plate is overflow. It's overflowing, and that's one thing that I know, you know, in Steve Smith's bio. He wants to make you think that this is a real big, complicated deal, stuff that we're doing here and everything. It doesn't have to be that complicated. He wants you to think that we're going to have to, in order to get things done and correct it or whatever, we're going to have to hold meetings for this. We're going to have to do resolutions for this. We're going to have to make committees for this and make boards for that. And, you know, no. We don't have to do anything like that. And we don't have time to do anything like that right now. All that's going to do is just get us into a bigger bind. My thing is this. Look, our plate has overflown. It is overflowing with resolutions that have not been dealt with, resolutions that have been passed, and they have not been dealt with. Our plate is so full. We need to turn the faucet off. We need to, you know, stop dishing the food onto the plate. I apologize for that again. Interrupted. So, anyway, you know, I apologize that for the interruption and losing track of where we're at here. But I believe I was talking about, you know, our plate being overfull, and that's one of the things that I feel that would be necessary. I think that it would have to be an issue on the agenda here that we discuss on this, because like I said, if I'm elected as your new Kiowa Indian Council coordinator, I will call a special meeting to address a few issues, and I will let you all know about that before the meeting is, or before the meeting's called. I'll let you know what those are. But one thing would be, we need to not this coming April meeting, we need to not accept any more proposed resolutions. We can no longer accept proposed resolutions for the time being until we get caught up with what we are behind on. We are so far behind on resolutions, it's not funny. Going back a few years, we need to go through those. That's one thing that I will do with the, as your new KIOWA Indian Council coordinator. I will get with the KIOWA Indian Council and address all of these resolutions that we are behind on, and we will figure out a way to get these resolved. Some of them just might even be issues on this special meeting that I plan to call if elected. First thing I will do is call the special meeting. I will follow the process to call that meeting. But some of those issues will probably be on the agenda so they can be resolved right then. But we'll weed through those together, and we will decide which is going to be most important to deal with first, and we will properly get every single one of those completed and out of our way, so we can move forward with new. But until then, I think that's going to have to be one thing that we're going to have to decide to do, and that's to not accept any more proposed resolutions during this coming April KIOWA Indian Council meeting until we can clear the plate a little bit, because it's just overflowing. We got to cut it. We got to cut it off so we can get caught up. I think anybody in their right mind would agree with that. Just until we get caught up. So anyway, there's some things that are planned. Some things that really need to be addressed and stuff. But I wanted to talk to you all about what I did and touch on base. And one of the most important things is, that issue of the blood quantum. I know there's been a few posts on some things that I posted out there. I think people were feeling like the blood quantum wasn't as important as the marijuana issue, but they both are just as important as each other, and one or the other. Both very important issues, and both issues that I personally have been talking about for years. For many years. I've been talking about legalizing marijuana since 2009 with the tribe. I've been talking about this blood quantum from day one. Years I've been talking about these two main issues, and they are very important to me. And so that's why you see me and not those other two working on these things, push them. I checked into this blood quantum deal, and I found, the process was jumped. The train jumped the track, and the process went the wrong way when it should have kept going that way, and it didn't. So all we got to do is just pick it up and complete it. And it's going to be a simple thing to do, and it can be done, and it will be done if I'm elected as the new KIOWA Indian Council coordinator. That will be done during the special meeting that I plan to call first thing. I can guarantee that. So, just wanted to let y'all know that is a very, very important issue to me. It's one of the most important issues that I've ever talked about with the tribe, because it's killing us off, and it's a killer. And I know that. And I don't, to me, I'll tell you right now, I don't want people to get confused. I understand as KIOWA Indian Council coordinator, it would be my position to not be biased, and I wouldn't be. Although I do have some very strong feelings towards some issues, I would keep my personal feelings to myself Of course, I will express my opinion just like everybody else does as a KIC member, but as far as my personal opinion, I don't have a personal agenda, and I will not show bias toward anybody. And so my mind is completely open, and I am fully aware that it is the KIC, the Kiowa Indian Council, the Kiowa people that do things and make things happen. And all I'm going to be doing is carrying your voice for you. That's it. You know, whatever you say, that's what's going to happen. And I will be there to make that happen. That's the purpose of me running for this position, because I finally want to be able to have somebody in there that will give you people what you are saying you want. And I can do that. I can do just that. And believe me, nobody's going to tell me how to do my job. Nobody's going to scare me into doing anything. Nobody's going to make me do anything that violates the people, that violates the law, that violates the Constitution. It just isn't going to happen. Not with me. Not on my watch. I can promise you that. So, anyway, I just wanted to touch base with y'all and tell y'all that your votes, your support would be very, very much appreciated. I am interested in making correction, making change for the better. I'm interested in doing things that will put monies into your own pockets as individuals. You will begin to receive dividends from businesses that are put into place, that I personally will put in no matter what, whether I'm elected to a position or not. Even just as my own regular status of a Kiowa Indian Council member, an enrolled Kiowa Tribal member, I still have opportunities to do business no matter what. My opportunities aren't going to go away. So that's there, and I will show you no matter what exactly what I'm talking about. But, there's some things that come along with that, like I said. And those have been explained, and we'll talk about them more on down the line. But what it does is it makes it to where we're not going to be sitting here any longer wondering, are we ever going to get a per cap? Forget a per cap. Per cap's something of the past. It's been something of the past to our people for a long, long time. That's another reason why I want to keep government and big business out of the authority of the marijuana industry, because they have so many things right now that's so messed up, and they have to correct and fix and stuff. They're overrun with not overflown, sorry about that, but they're overrun with issues too that they're dealing with. And so, they need to just take their